Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the time. In here, I would like to explain about social historical background of Middle English period. Our group are me, Kuncoro Ivansa, and Mas Kimatilal Nur Muhammad. Next slide. Mas Kimatilal, times is your.
Okay, thank you very much for the time. The first, our material is about the social background of Middle English period. The first thing that we will discuss is about early Middle English. The Middle English period are divided into three periods. The first one is early Middle English. The third is the Central Middle English, and the last is the late Middle English. The first is early Middle English. As we know that the early Middle English was marked by the Norman conquest. The Norman conquest was marked by William, who was the conqueror in the English. He invaded the island of Britain from his home and base in northern France, and settled in his new acquisition along with his nobles and court. William crushed the opposition with a brutal hand and deprived the Anglo-Saxon earls of their property, distributing it to Normans and some English who supported him. As the England was uh, conquered by the Norman, William uh, implement three different classes in English. The upper class was made up of kings and nobility. Lords and barons come next, followed by church leaders. The lower class was made up of peasants and serfs. Kings were believed to have been born with divine right given, and the right given by God passed on by heredity. The king owned the land. Barons were given parts of the land, known as manors or fiefs. The barons managed the lands, maintained allegiance to the king, and provided troops for protection of the king and the king's lands. Barons were also chosen by heredity. Church leaders were powerful members of society taking part in religious and government roles, and often receiving manners from the king as well. Peasants supported the church through donation that they believed would help save their immortal soul. Peasants were divided into independent peasants who had their own skill and work for themselves, and indentured peasants who worked for a lord for room and board and did not keep the benefits of their works. And the next slide is about Central Middle English. Central Middle English period from about around 144,000. As we know, the normal conquest uh, implement the three classes from the society. Uh, so the works usually talk about a class and then talk about feudalism, for example, because King William begin his kingdom with him, the first king. So this feudalism uh, being a culture in England. Uh, for example, the works the feudalism works, you can see in the Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Geoffrey Chaucer may have offered the most in-depth view of social class differences with his work, The Canterbury Tales. This collection of stories offers various characters from different social standings traveling together on a pilgrimage, on the religious pilgrimage. Each pilgrim from different social standings traveling together. Uh, as we know that each pilgrim shares a story offering a view of their station in life. For example, their life experience, language, dialect, education, and perspective on Middle English life. Although Chaucer wrote in around 14th century, Anglo-Saxon London dialect, his word choice provide information about pilgrims. The lower class pilgrims, for example, the wife of Beth offer bawdy tales using familiar pronouns such as tree and dean, while the higher class pilgrims use more polite pronouns such as you can see ye and your and etc. I think that's some examples of the Central Middle English. So King William not only conquest their kingdom but also conquest their culture and their uh, cultures such like feudalism itself. So this age English was much more talk about uh, feudalism and etc. I think that's all about the first slide and the second slide. We talk about the early Middle English and the Central Middle English. So the last will delivered by Pencoro.
Thank you, Mas Kima. Let's Middle English. From about 14,000 to about 15,000, which was marked by the spread of the London literary dialect and the gradual cleavage between the Scottish dialect and the other northern dialects. During this period, the basic lines of inflection as they appear in modern English were first established. The Kensington standard of written English emerged in century 1430 in official documents that, since the Norman conquest, had normally been written in French, like Chaucer work. This new standard was based on the East Midlands influence speech of London. Critics using this standard were usually familiar with French and Latin, influencing the form they choose. The Kansas standard, which was adopted slowly, was used in England by bureaucrats for more official purposes, including those of the church and legalities, which used Latin and Low French, respectively. The Chancery standards influence on letter from of written English is disputed, but it did undoubtedly provide the core around which early modern English formed. In early modern English emerged with the help of William Carleton's printing press, developed during the 14, 1470s. The press established English through a view towards standardization, led by Chancery standard enthusiasts and writer Riker Vincent. Early modern English began in the 15 40s after the printing and wide distribution of the English Bible and Braille book, which made the new standard of English publicity recognizable and lasted until about 1650. Next slide. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think enough for this time. Thank you for your nice attention. We do apologize for for our mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.